Nergal is a new online citizen science game for understanding how our social networks and decisions influence the spread of diseases. The project is a collaboration between Then Try This, which is a non-profit specialising in participatory research, epidemiology researchers at the University of Edinburgh, and iSightCornwall, which is a charity supporting people with sight loss. The game was built using real social network data and epidemiological models. It collects data on the social decisions made within the game, as well as how diseases spread in the game world. This will provide a valuable data set for epidemiology and public health research.
Who you hang out with is obviously really important for how infectious diseases spread through populations. And so a big part of my research is trying to understand how animal social networks affect what types of diseases animals have and whether particular species are important reservoirs for diseases that might spread into humans or spread into livestock or potentially into other species that are endangered and at risk of extinction. And so really the motivation for this project is it's really hard to collect data on how animals change their behaviour in response to the presence of disease. And so what it allows us to do is move beyond the types of models that like mathematicians and physicists build, where they assume that everyone's perfect and everyone does the same thing.
The player experiences a strange, cute world full of small creatures that offer conversation and snacks, but that also pass on sneezes and sickness bugs. The only aim is to survive for a fixed time. This means balancing the costs and the benefits of social contact. To make it feel gentle and not frightening, the game is traditionally illustrated, including lots of different characters, plants and clouds that the player can talk to, and the world is filled with things to explore. After starting the project, we realised that certain groups could be expected to use quite different social cues to avoid catching and spreading diseases, in particular people with visual impairments. So we decided to see if we could build a version that could be played by people who had little or even no sight at all.
After building the initial game, we got this opportunity to make the game more accessible to a wider group of people, and being able to have people who might not normally have access to these kinds of games and being able to get data from this really unique group of people was really interesting to us.
We ran 2 co-design sessions with people with little or no sight in collaboration with a local sight loss charity called iSightCornwall. The first session helped us understand how games work that are made for people who can't see, some of the common problems with technology like this, and more generally, how people experience the pandemic.
We also spent some time playing with tactile synths lent to us by electronic musician Aphex Twin to see if we could make some sounds to use in the game. At the second session, we all got together again to test what we'd built and see what final tweaks needed to be made. The result was a night mode, which had higher contrast and could also be played through sound alone. This version can be navigated using the keyboard. The players can choose the speed and type of voice for their character. The conversations between characters in the game happen out loud. Players can hear sneezes and sickness, as well as the footsteps of other characters, which get softer as they move away. The results are also described out loud.
My name is Dominic Hall and I work for iSightCornwall, and I am completely blind except for a bit of light perception in my left eye. It's been a really good experience. It's really well designed. The sound quality is really good, especially for a game that can be played by people with little to no sight. The design is gorgeous. I mean, the cuteness of the characters come across really well, but it also highlights really well how an infection can spread, through social contact.
It's interesting to see a game that was built around our ideas, because obviously I've never seen a game like that before. I just kind of played a game that's been made, and they expect you to kind of learn as it goes along. But this is interesting where they took our ideas and made it into a game, and it's so interesting to see how they took it. Because obviously they've got voiceover for certain things, sound effects for others, and it's just incredible.
Players see or hear the results of the game that they played compared with the average of all other players at that point in time. There's also a button in the game to sign up to receive copies of the data and any publications as soon as they're available. As well as pushing the field of citizen science forward in terms of accessibility, the Nergal game will result in a really unusual and valuable data set for research, potentially with serious public health implications in future.